As kind of a preview of what to expect from my review of The Danish Girl, here is an analysis of Jared Leto's role in the movie Dallas Buyers Club. Now, if you haven't seen Dallas Buyers Club, I must warn you now that my analysis will have spoilers. So if you want to see the movie for yourself, turn away now. In summary, Dallas Buyers Club is a biographical film about Ron Woodruff, a misogynist, heterosexist rodeo fan from Dallas, Texas, who contracted AIDS in the 1980s. He decided to make money by smuggling experimental AIDS drugs and selling them to dying AIDS patients who were mostly gay men. The film deviates a lot from reality, quite a lot, since there are conflicting reports about who Woodruff really was as a person. Several of his friends said that he wasn't really bigoted at all, and some have even said that he was gay or bisexual himself. And Hollywood always likes to twist true stories to make them more appealing to audiences. The one part I want to focus on is Rayon, the trans woman that Woodruff befriends at the beginning of the film and eventually makes her his partner in crime. Let's get the most obvious problem out of the way first. Rayon is a transgender character being portrayed by a cisgender man, Jared Leto. Why is this problematic? Because it reinforces the idea that trans women are just men pretending to be women. However, another problem is that cis men simply don't know the real struggles of trans women. Jared Leto claims that he lived as a woman for about 6 months to prepare for the role, but that's not the same as actually living as a trans woman. Leto does not live with problems such as dysphoria or oppression. Leto could simply take off his wigs, breast forms, and makeup when he called it a day. Leto didn't have to deal with losing his home, being denied employment, or live with mental problems. Leto doesn't even have to live with the danger of being murdered, since he could just say that he was a Hollywood actor playing a role. Plus, I'm sure that he had a bodyguard with him. However, let's dissect the character Rayon. Let's try to put this character through everyday feminism's super-duper test of trans awesomeness. Rayon is a trans woman who is white and young, but is par. She's pre-HRT and doesn't seem to have intentions of taking said medication since she's trying to fight AIDS and she can't really afford to get on HRT since all her money is going to AIDS drugs. She doesn't really have a backstory other than her father doesn't accept her identity, and her current narrative really only exists to drive the plot. I wouldn't say the film capitalized on trans narratives, considering that Rayon is just a supporting character that, as mentioned before, only exists to drive the plot. This is Ron Woodruff's film. The next bullet points focuses on the trans character's identity. We'll get back to that later, but I will say that her identity isn't purely used as being purely good or bad. Spoiler, she does die at the end, and she didn't die to heroically save the cis character, although you could argue that Rayon's death made Woodruff's passion to fight the FDA much stronger. However, I feel like Woodruff would have won regardless of whether Rayon lived or not, especially since the real Ron Woodruff didn't have that many close friends. Also, death was all around him, since he did deal with AIDS patients in a time when AIDS was a terminal illness. However, her death doesn't have any significant effect to the remainder of the plot. Woodruff is still as pissed off at the FDA before her death, and the only effect it has is that Dr. Eve Sachs, the doctor who has been treating Woodruff and has been a major part in the AIDS drug trials, quits her job as a result of Rayon's death. Now let's go into further detail of Rayon's role in the film. Woodruff meets Rayon when he is hospitalized after passing out from the effects of AZT.
I'm Rayon.
Congratulations. Fuck off and go back to your bed.
Relax, I don't bite. I guess you're handsome in a Texas hick white trash dumb kind of way.
Rayon comes off as flirty towards Woodruff, which you could say plays the trope that transgender women are inherently sexual beings, and she explains that she's in a bad situation financially and that splitting the drugs she's getting from the AZT trial with a friend. Later in the film, she proposes to be Woodruff's partner in the Dallas Buyers Club. They rent out an apartment in which they run their business from. Rayon from here on out is used to show that Woodruff is getting better as a person. Rayon shows Woodruff that LGBT individuals are human beings that deserve respect. In the beginning of the film, Woodruff views women as if they only exist to please him. He refuses to have anything to do with gay people and calls them dehumanizing terms like homo and faggots. And later in the film, Woodruff meets an old friend and introduces him to Rayon.
How you doing, man?
Oh, trying to make a living, you know how it is.
Yeah. Dude. Jeez. Fucking faggots everywhere.
Hey, TJ, this is Rayon. Rayon TJ.
Hey.
Hey, said hi to you. Take his hand. Come on, buddy, what's your problem?
Fuck you.
Hey! Oh!
Shake his hand, DJ. Shake his hand, DJ. Give him a good one. Give him a good one. There you go. Now. Why would you fuck off?
Go on back to your miserable life.
His former friend refuses to shake Rayon's hand and puts him in a chokehold, demanding that he does. He also shows that he cares about Rayon as a person and not just as a business partner. He is concerned about her health by trying to advise her to avoid recreational drugs and unhealthy food. Woodruff can get many other people to be his sidekick, but he still looks out for Rayon because she's important to him. There's also this intimate scene in which Rayon informs Woodruff that she sold her life insurance policy.
Really? Where'd you get it?
I sold my life insurance policy. Not like I'm gonna need it anyway.
Woodruff develops empathy for Rayon. He sees himself within Rayon, however, unlike Rayon, he has hope. Rayon didn't have to die. They could have fought the FDA together and both could have died with dignity, but instead, Rayon died broke, unloved, and unhappy. Her last words in the film were, "I don't want to die." This is used to show the harsh reality of AIDS and death itself, that it can take you at any moment. However, I have yet to tell you the biggest problem of the film. The biggest problem of the film is that Rayon's trans identity is never talked about. The word trans is never used in this film. Instead, all the characters treat Rayon as a cross-dressing gay man. Rayon doesn't even reveal what pronouns she uses. She just accepts the fact that everyone calls her a him and he. If Rayon identified as a gay man, then this would have erased many of the problems the film has. But we now know that this isn't the case. In one scene, Woodruff says,
You call me Ronnie again? Let me use this to give you that sex change you've been hoping for.
Now this may sound very tongue-in-cheek, especially knowing Woodruff's character. However, here is perhaps one of the most famous scenes from the film.
God, when I meet you, I'm gonna be pretty. If it's the last thing I do, I'll be a beautiful angel.
Rayon looks at herself in the mirror and prays to God. When she gets to heaven, she can be a beautiful angel. It's very clear that she has gender dysphoria. She can't afford her transition because all of her money is going to AIDS drugs, so her only hope is that she can be herself after death, since she feels like her soul is a beautiful woman waiting to come out. This was even symbolized in the scene where Rayon died. At the same time Rayon dies, Woodruff is in Mexico getting his next drug treatment. Ron walks into a room filled with butterflies. Butterflies are a symbol used in the trans community. Butterflies are born caterpillars and grow up to be their true selves, which is an analogy that is used for a transition from the gender they were assigned at birth to their true self. However, while the film is inspired by a true story, the character Rayon was fictional, which means her identity is what the writers and the producers say she is. The official Dallas Buyers Club website says that Rayon is trans, so Rayon is trans. There's a whole possibility that Rayon could be non-binary, but this once again leads me to the whole pronoun thing. I've never met a non-binary trans feminine individual who uses he, him pronouns. It just seems like they made Rayon trans because trans people were becoming more visible. So in conclusion, the film was amazing, and I do recommend you watch it, but for the love of God, don't take this film as a true representation of trans people. With that being said, I'll be reviewing The Danish Girl for my next review, since this film did make headlines for similar problematic elements.